Sam, we just want to welcome you to our Dot Talks today. And we thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. We know you have been so incredible helping people and being on the front lines during this pandemic. All of us are so grateful for all that you've been doing. You have so much on your plate with your job at Healthcare for the Homeless, as well as working in the emergency room at Mass General. Sam, I hope you find time to take care of yourself. Please tell your boys we miss seeing them at the Boys and Girls Clubs at Dorchester, and we definitely look forward to seeing them again soon. Today we have some amazing young people with us. But before we get started, Sam, we want to ask you a question. Is there anything that we can do for you in the Dorchester community during this pandemic?
I mean, so many things, but I think the most important thing is to make sure that, you know, you are all staying as safe and healthy as possible. You know, washing your hands really well, wearing masks when you go outside, eating healthy, getting a lot of sleep, drinking a lot of water. You know, Dorchester is an amazing community to be a part of. And, you know, we all have the opportunity to do our part to make sure that the community of Dorchester continues to survive and thrive through the COVID-19 epidemic. So be kind to one another and stay healthy.
Thank you,
Good
Sam.
advice. Good advice.
Yes. Thank you. We're going to get started with our first question, and it will be from Elvis, who is a freshman at South Boston High School.
Hey, Sam. My question is, what have been your biggest challenges running the site?
So running Boston Hope?
Yep.
Particularly? So my responsibility with starting Boston Hope with Healthcare for the Homeless is I was in charge of the behavioral health initiative there. And for those who aren't familiar with behavioral health, it's, you know, how you're feeling in its simplest form. And I think how people feel when they learn that they have a diagnosis of COVID is so different based on people's level of resiliency. So I think the biggest challenge was trying to mobilize quickly, trying to quickly identify the needs of all the people who were choosing to stay with us in quarantine for those 2 weeks, and making sure that we were meeting all the individual needs of all the people. So sometimes we had, you know, 150 individual people, and they're all reacting to this COVID diagnosis very differently. And we really wanted to make sure that we were supporting everyone and encouraging them to support each other and one another. And, you know, that presents certain challenges. Like, we're all different. We all feel different ways about different things. And I think I'm lucky enough that I have an amazing group of colleagues here that really allowed us to get creative with how we could support the needs of everyone there.
Thank you.
It's a great question. Thank you for asking it.
You're welcome.
Great.
Next, we have Anthony, who is a sophomore at the Henderson Upper Campus.
Hi, Sam. So my question is, how have you been taking care of yourself in terms of what have you been doing to take your mind off of the stresses of what you do?
It's a hard question, Anthony. This has been a lot of working hours for frontline workers. Days off really weren't a luxury during this time because so many people were getting sick and diagnosed so quickly that it was hard to figure out a way to sustain yourself as a frontline worker. So one of the things my friends and I have been doing, much like what the Boys and Girls Club has been offering for you guys, is that we would Zoom once a week. So me and all my girlfriends from college We're scattered all over the country, but every Tuesday we have Taco Tuesday, where we all, Zoom with each other, check in with each other, just see how we're all getting through and kind of share strategies that each of us are facing and how we've learned to cope with things. Another thing I've been doing Monday through Thursday with a group of friends that I have here in Massachusetts, we've been doing Jeopardy trivia with each other. So every day we send out 3 Jeopardy questions and everyone tries to answer. So it's been fun, something to just take your mind off of everything. We don't talk about COVID, we just play Jeopardy, and then we don't talk to each other sometimes until the next time the Jeopardy questions come out. But then a lot of it is trying to be outside as much as possible. I walk my dog a lot, hang out with my kids and my partner. Try to get in some exercise when you can. Doing a lot of home cooking meals, trying out new recipes that are fun, having the boys make us dinner, which is a lovely luxury. So probably a lot of the things that you're all doing to get through this and take care of yourself and just stay, keep your head in it, and also just waking up with a sense of gratitude every day. One thing that you learn when you work on the front lines, especially during this, is that not everyone has the luxury of waking up healthy every day. And, taking that time in the morning when you wake up and like doing that body scan and being like, yes, today I am good and I'm going to be grateful for it.
That's awesome.
Great. Thank you, Sam.
Oh, thank you.
Naraya, a 5th grader at Squantum Elementary, has a question for you.
My question for you is, what are the main complaints for the people who stay at the COVID site?
So many people who came to Boston Hope were just so grateful for what we were doing. They were grateful for the staff being there. They were grateful for the access to care that they had. Almost all the people who came to Boston Hope were part of the Boston community who don't have homes. So it's really hard to learn that you have the COVID-19 diagnosis, and what the World Health Organization is telling everyone to do is to stay home. Don't go out, isolate yourself, quarantine yourself. And for this population of our city, they don't have a place to do that. So I think everyone was just so thankful that they felt bad about giving us any complaints, to be honest. The one complaint that they did have that I'm completely comfortable sharing, because I think this was across the board, was the food. It's hard to make meals for hundreds of people at once. And we didn't have like a kitchen, or the people who ran the Boston Convention Center had people there that were trying to make food for all the staff and all the patients. And a lot of people just wanted a warm meal, and it was usually like cold cut sandwiches or salads, no comfort food for sure. So I would say if there was any complaints there, it was that.
Thank you for answering my question.
Of course. Thank you for asking it.
Patrick, a junior at BCLA, has a question for you.
Well, my question is, what's the most challenging part about working on the frontier/frontline?
I mean, every day at work brought new challenges that we've never faced before. So I think one challenging thing was adapting to all the new information that was being provided to us every day. Much like everyone else in the world, we're getting new information every day, and it's changing all the time. And I think that's difficult for providers to be able to tell patients, like, I'm sorry, we just don't know enough yet. That's not a great feeling to have to answer anyone's question with, I don't know, but genuinely we didn't know. But I would say one of the most challenging things that I personally struggled with working on the front line was, while I'm in the emergency department at Mass General, it's difficult to tell family members that like, I'm sorry, I know your loved one's sick, but because we're not allowing visitors, you can't be with them right now. Or when people came in to have babies and to not be able to celebrate that and have your family come in and see this new addition to your family, you know, we felt like so bad for people that they couldn't celebrate the good things the way that they would have been able to before. So I think just, you know, knowing that because everyone has to social distance right now, it's hard to have them connect to their social support systems. And it was really challenging to figure out how families of people who are sick or patients themselves could still get the support they needed after they were discharged, knowing that no one's allowed to have visitors and no one's allowed to, you know, cook you food and bring it over right now or things like that. So that was very challenging, and it's still challenging, but I think you kind of get used to the challenging.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, thank you.
Mia, a sophomore at Quincy High School, has a question for you also.
Hi, Sam. It's very nice to meet you.
Hi.
Even though you are facing lots of hardships from being on the front lines, what's something that brings you joy or just makes it all worth it for you?
You know, being a clinical social worker in an emergency department or at health care for the homeless is challenging, like draining work a lot of the time. But I also have the opportunity to make the worst day of someone's life a little bit more manageable. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a pharmacist. I can't fix what's wrong, but I can help people cope with it. And seeing the resilience of people and how strong people are has been amazing. And also, you know, how our community has come together to help support the homeless population during all this is amazing. I'll remember, like, in February, we put up tents for people before, you know, there were a lot of positive COVID cases in Boston. We had 2 isolation tents in a parking lot with no running water. So the patients who were isolating there didn't have any access to clean water to drink. And I put a Facebook post up asking for donations of cases of water, juice boxes, any beverage we could get our hands on. And I was able to fill up my SUV 3 times with donations just from the community of Dorchester. And it was so amazing to feel like that our organization wasn't the only group of people that were really caring about this population. It was just absolutely beautiful to see, and it really made me just want to work harder for the patients that I support, because I felt like everyone in the community was really rooting for us and trying to help us support them too.
That's so powerful, especially, you know, Dorchester is just, we're so Dorchester. We are Dorchester, and it just shows the power and the strength in time of need. So thank you for that. Sakina, 8th grader at Latin Academy, has a question for you.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
So my question for you is it hard to manage your work and personal life with everything that's going on?
Sakina, I think everyone right now is having a hard time managing their personal lives because we're not really allowed to go out and do a whole lot. But I try very hard to keep, you know, who I am at work. That's who I am here. And I try not to bring work home with me when I can avoid it. That way, when I am home, I am available to play board games with the kids or, you know, have a movie night with popcorn and get to like enjoy my family more. I think that's actually one of the benefits to having to socially isolate. We've had to take off a lot of stuff off of our personal life schedules, and we really get to just enjoy our homes and our pets and our family members if we're lucky enough to have them. And but but it's hard, it's difficult, and it's something that took me a really long time working as a social worker to be able to do that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But, you know, you work at it like everything else, and I'm very hopeful for the day that we get to go back and play Dorchester youth soccer or have a Dorchester baseball game, and you know, all the community events that the city of Boston puts on in Dorchester. I'm hopeful that those will all happen, but you know, it's a balance, and it's one you kind of have to work at, just like everything else. You don't want to come home from school and have to worry about school after a long day, right? It's the same for adults, I promise.
That's exactly right.
Gabby, a junior at Latin Academy, has a question for you also, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Have you ever known anyone personally that was admitted to your center?
I mean, in the emergency department, you know, a lot of people come through Mass General's emergency department, and I've seen old bosses there. I've seen neighbors there. So it does happen. Less so at Boston Hope, just because you know, they were all patients and we knew who was coming in. So I knew most of them because they were patients of ours. But it is always interesting to see someone you know socially when you're in your professional role. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time that I prefer them to not visit me at work when I'm in the emergency department. So, but it does happen. You just have to respect their medical privacy. You know, when you know, I would never say hi to someone I know unless they say hi to me first, because you want to respect their privacy and their personal life. Much like if I saw one of my patients here at Target, I wouldn't say hi to them unless they said hi to me first. Mm-hmm. Because I would never want to tell anyone that, oh, they have a therapist or they're homeless, because I know them from work. So I always wait for the other person to initiate conversation if I'm not working with them in a professional capacity when I see them.
That's an important detail, yeah.
Very important. It must be hard also, Sam, because, you know, so often the city is so small, you always see people that you know, recognize or know. So,
yeah. But I will say that, you know, if a kid gets hurt and ends up in the emergency department and I know them from baseball or soccer or the club or the kids' schools, people are really glad to know that someone they know is there. It makes it a little less scary. It's always scary to go into the emergency department. You're never there because something great happened. So it often sometimes makes people feel a little more comforted knowing that they actually know the person who's helping support the team that's supporting them.
Thank you. Tina, a sophomore at John D. O'Brien High School, has a question for you.
Hi, Sam. How do you encourage those workers with you to keep going and stay positive during these hard times?
That is a great question. Have you ever heard the term like self-care? Yeah, like just genuinely taking care of yourself. So a lot of times clinical social workers, when they're working within medical teams like I do, don't just support the patients or the families of patients. We also support the doctors, the nurses, the other social workers who are taking care of the patients, and kind of recognizing that everyone is in this big trauma together. So we would have check-ins, we'd have huddles where we would I would go to like a nursing team and be like, all right, how are we all doing today? And, you know, one person could talk about, oh, this patient was really challenging, or they're getting sick and I'm worried about this. And I'm like, nope, I'm asking about you. Like, how are you doing? Like, how are you coping with this? And just really giving the rest of the team the space to like really check in with themselves. We don't want anyone burning out. You know, we don't want anyone to overextend themselves. leads to, people get tired. It affects your immune system. It affects how well you are at your job. And when you work in a healthcare setting, you want to be really good at your job because you're taking care of other people. So it's really important to have those little check-ins. We would also like ask riddles, just things to keep it light. At Boston Hope, we actually had cornhole sets up for the patients. So the staff would play cornhole with the patients and we'd be in full PPE. The face mask, the shield, the mask, the gown, 2 pairs of rubber gloves. It's very hot. But there we were just playing cornhole or painting with the patients or doing a crossword or a puzzle, and really just taking the opportunity to connect to everyone as humans, not just, as, oh, this is your healthcare provider and you are the patient, because we really are all in there together. And it was really fun sometimes to okay, everyone's doing all right today. We have 10 minutes. Let's play a quick couple rounds of cornhole and then go back to work. So it was great.
Thank you.
Will, a senior at Archbishop Williams High School.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Good, Will. How are you?
I'm good. My question for you is, how long do you think that we'll need to run the first responder site?
First responder site meaning Boston Hope, right?
Yes.
So Boston Hope is split up into 2 different areas. One is a medical ward that's run by Partners Healthcare, which is the same organization who oversees Mass General, Brigham and Women's, etc. That side is still up and running. The healthcare for the homeless side of Boston Hope was actually more of a shelter for people who had tested positive for COVID. Okay. So right now, fingers crossed, the census for the homeless population in Boston has started going down. We're able to quarantine and support those people in different areas. Boston Medical Center opened up East Newton campus. We still have Barbara McGinnis House here, which is our medical respite. So last Tuesday, we actually started shrink wrapping it. While it's not closed, so to speak, it will remain, it just doesn't have any patients right now, but it will remain open in case we have another surge, like people are forecasting for. So if the hospitals become overburdened again and too many people are testing positive for COVID and there aren't enough places to put them where they're able to socially isolate and quarantine themselves, we will be able to go right back in there as needed, and start supporting patients in that setting again. But for right now, we don't have anyone in there, but we haven't closed it. We're just waiting to see if there's more of an increased need, and then we'll start admitting people there again. So it's hard to tell, and I think no one has a good guess. I think we're just gonna have to wait and see how well we all are at social distancing once things start slowly opening back up. And once we get more data from that, we'll probably know when we'll need to start accepting patients again soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Sam, we could talk to you all day, your smile, your joy. If you're bringing it to us, I see why our patients are moving in a good direction. So we thank you. Continue to do that. We always close out our DotTalks by asking our guests, when we go back to our new normal, what's the first thing you're looking to do?
Oh, oh my goodness. I only can pick one. Oh, I cannot wait for the time when my family and I can safely go out for like ice cream in a movie again. Yeah, I would love to be able to just go to an ice cream shop and get an ice cream cone, just walk around Dorchester, go to Savin Hill Park, not have to have a mask on outside so I can eat the ice cream cone. Especially now that it's getting warm out. So if I had to pick one, that would probably be it. But a close second is having the boys be able to see their friends.
Yeah.
You know, I can't wait for, they have to be sick of me and my partner by now. I'm sure all of you can relate too. I'm sure you all love your families and who you live with, and everyone gets along amazingly with their siblings, but there's nothing like just being able to like play with your friends. And I really want to be able to see them play with their friends again.
So I have a question. What's the advice that you would give us about getting through the summer with social distancing and wearing masks and all of that?
The best advice I think I can give is be aware of where you get your information from. You know, there's so many different things from so many media outlets and all these press conferences that happen every day. Take time away from the news and then like find one reputable source to get the guidelines from. And then listen to them, because the sooner we're all able to get through this, the sooner we're able to get to our new normal, and that it's okay to be afraid to go back out and to do things. And it's okay to leave places if you think there are too many people there. It doesn't mean that, you know, you're not tough or strong. This is like a real illness, and people are getting really sick and dying all over the world from it. So it's okay to be nervous, but just make sure that the information you are getting isn't from, you know, Facebook or like a blog post or Twitter or Instagram or wherever, like all this information changes all the time and no one does fact checking. And it's okay to stand up to adults. Like if you have, you know, a parent being like, oh no, you can go do that, and be like, you know, just not feeling it today. It's okay to advocate for yourself.
Sam, we can't thank you enough from all of us at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Dorchester. We look forward to seeing you again around the club really soon. And please stay safe. And we're sending your colleagues also a big high five for just doing it. Just doing it. You all are amazing, and we look forward to celebrating when we go back to our new normal.
Yeah. I will pass along your high five, but with an elbow.
All right, everybody, let's give an elbow.
I hope you all have an amazing summer, and that you all stay healthy, and I am so excited to see you all back at the club sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sam, you're the best.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
inviting me.